Hello BookTube, it's Louise, the big head bookworm. Lovely to see you, hope you're well. I'm back with the second part of my book haul. So this is the end of April and I'm recording a couple of book hauls to show you the books that I have got recently. So the first three books I'm going to show you now are not ones that I would have bought, but I went out and I bought them for a specific reason which I shall explain to you now. If you are somebody, as I'm sure you are as you're watching this video, who is into books, when people find out that you read a lot or are into books, you will have had this conversation. They will go, ooh, whoever you're talking to will go, ooh, have you read insert title of book? Now, I always pause at that moment because what they're doing is they're offering a gift of themselves, because nobody asks that question except for a specific reason. They're asking it because it's a part of them. It's a book that they either really enjoyed, that matters a great deal to them. It may even be their favourite book that they're just about to tell you. Or it's that last book that they've read and they've not found anybody else to talk to about it and they've been dying to discuss the finer points. And you, that person that's interested in books, might be that person for them. So they're offering a gift of themselves. When somebody goes to you, oh, have you read that book? Have you read whatever it is? They are offering a bit of themselves, and it is so easy to just brush past those moments and throw away the opportunity to get to know somebody a little bit better. So I am so keen when somebody does that to me, and it does happen really regularly. A casual acquaintance who doesn't know you that well suddenly finds out that you have a BookTube channel, or you used to be a bookseller, or you're just a real keen reader. They always have that moment of, oh, have you read? And it is such careful, I'm so careful with that. So, for example, there are three ways that you can respond, and I offer this to you as ways that I have learned to respond to that question. They say, oh, have you read? It might be a title you've never heard of, in which case I would go, no, I've not heard of it. Tell me more. And that gives you a chance it gives them a chance to show off about what they're reading, and it's a fun moment for them, and you get to find out about a book that you've never heard of. They may say, it may be a book that you have heard of and that you would never, ever, ever read. The response to give is, no, I've not been drawn to that one yet. Did you enjoy it? Or, no, tell me more. Have you read it recently? Or, rather than, oh my God, no, I would never read that. Oh my God, have you read that? Did you not know that that author is basically a murdering psychopath, and by buying that book you are contributing to the moral turpitude of this country and have basically supported a murderer? No, that is not the response. The response is, no. Have you read it recently? No. Tell me more. Or it might be an author that you absolutely loathe. And I have had this. People will say, have you read an author I'm never going to read, or an author I've never read before? And I go, no. Did you enjoy it? And it allows them to talk about it in a way that satisfies their wanting to talk about it, and you've not crushed them, especially if it's one of their favourite books. It could be the book that has broken their book slump or something like that. I have had that. I have had somebody tell me a book that I've absolutely loathed, or an author that I think is just horrific for some reason. Perhaps I've met them and I know what a pain in the backside they actually are. And so rather than saying, oh yes, I met them, they are the worst excuse for a human being I have ever met, rather than saying that, I've gone, no, I haven't read any of theirs recently. What did you think? Opens the space for them to tell you why they think you should read it, or why it impacted them. And it starts the conversation. The other thing that I've started to do is I've started to ask the people that are nearest and dearest to me, what is the one book that you wish other people have read? So what is the one book that you would put in that moment? So mine, for example, might be, I'm not actually sure because I read so much, I assume that people haven't read the books that I have read. And I assume that, you know, you might like crime, but you might not like cosy crime, or you might not like serial killer books, or you might not like true crime. So I don't tend to assume, because I read so much, I don't tend to assume that people have read the books that I have read. But I'm fascinated by what other people have read, and I'm really fascinated about the people that I love. What is their book that makes them go, ooh, have you read? So a couple of weekends ago, I was with some of my dearest, dearest, dearest friends, people that I consider my soul family. So they're people that my soul have known way longer than my physical body has known, because we have such a connection. And we were all sat around together, and these are people that I love so very, very much. And I asked them that question. I said, what is the one book that you would say, have you read? And if you've not read it, I'm going to go and read it, so that I know what... there's a part of you in that book, and we can have a connection together, and I will honour that space in you and give my time to it. So one of them was Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, which I've already got and I've read, so that was wonderful. I was able to say, oh yeah, no, I did read that. She's like, oh, have you read God in Ruins? And I was like, no, that's the next one, and I will read that, but I have got it. So that's one. Her other book I hadn't read, and I did go and buy it. So I am just reading it now, and that is Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter's The Long Earth. Now, I don't think I've actually ever spoken about my love of Terry Pratchett on BookTube. I've loved Terry Pratchett a long, long time. I started reading him all 20 odd years ago, and have got all but about 3 or 4 of his. I haven't read the Long Earth series. I think because it was in conjunction with another author. I think that put me off a little bit. So she said to me, oh, that's wonderful. I love this series. I really would love you to read it, because then there'll be somebody else that I could talk to about it. So I have started that. So that's Terry Pratchett, The Long Earth, Stephen Baxter. It's fantasy. The Long Earth means lots of different earths, or kind of like they suggest that you imagine it like a stack of cards, and you can just step sideways into another earth. So I've just started. That's all I've got of that one. Somebody else said The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I haven't read it. And she really was like, oh, you've not read it? And I was like, no, I haven't. And I've been kind of put off by it, because I think it's because it's so loved and so hyped on BookTube, and people are like, oh, you've not read it? It's kind of put me off it a little bit, but I have seen some cheap copies in the charity shop, and I have said to her, I will definitely get it, and I will read it. So that's on my to-be-bought list. I will get it, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. One of my other friends said The Other Hand by Chris Cleave. And this was she was like, have you not read it? Have you not read it? And I was like, no, what's it about? And she said, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, could you not give me a hint? And she's like, no, you should just buy it and read it. And then it says on the back, I'm not really going to tell you what it's about, because it's one of those books that will actually really suit you to go in blind. I think it's literary fiction, from the fact it was shortlisted for the Costa Novel Award. So I think it's obviously a novel, and I think it is literary fiction. Chris Cleave did The Incendiary, which I haven't, and I hadn't heard about it, and apparently it's very famous, and I was like, oh, I haven't read it. And she's like, oh, so I went and got a copy of this. So The Other Hand by Chris Cleave. These are books that are really high up on my to be read books, because they mattered so much. Another friend had told me about this book previously, quite a few months ago, and so you have seen it on my a book haul, which another friend actually lent me this copy of it. So it's Tim Winton's Cloudstreet. So this is literary fiction set in Australia. It's very, very well known in Australia. I've read other Tim Winton books, which I'm trying to see which one. I think I've read In the Winter Dark. That's the one that I seem to remember. That's the one I seem to remember, but I haven't read this one. So Tim Winton, Cloudstreet. It's about a house going back and a family that lives in it, I gather. So that's it. This is the book that she returns to again and again and again. It's the book that she could pick up and gives her great solace, or changes her mood, or makes her happy, or is the comfort book that she returns to again and again and again. So because of that, I will be reading it. So that's my little 3 books so far. I've got to pick up The Book Thief. And I'm going to be doing this. So as I see people that I love, my nearest and dearest, I'm going to say to them, what is that one book that you would say, have you read? And I will buy it and I will read it, and therefore we will have that connection together, because I just think it's my way of connecting to those people that I really love. So that's my first 3 that I have. Okay, some other books that I have picked up recently. I have got C J Sansom's Dissolution. So this is his first novel. It's the Shardlake series. I have got somewhere over there, Sacrilege by C J Sansom, which is either the second or the third book. I think, is it the third book, or have I just made that up? I may have made that up. Now this is no, I'm sure this is the first one. Yes, I'm sure this is the first one. Anyway, I'm trying to, but yes, so I picked that up. I saw it in a charity bookshop and I thought, I do want to start reading these. These are historical crimes books. Shardrake is Matthew Shardrake, lawyer and long-term supporter of the Reform, works for Cromwell in 1537, this one's set. Do love my historical crime, so I shall read that. I have a friend actually who absolutely loves these and gets them out in I think she even buys them in hardback and has one per her summer holiday. She saves up and keeps it for her summer holiday, and it is like her yearly treat. So she's really passionate about them, so I'm going to give those a go. Let's put that there. Oh, here we are. This must be the second one. I'd forgotten I bought this one. So this is 1540. So yes, so this is the second one. So that's Dark Fire. The first one that I got, Dissolution, was actually in really good quality. This one looks a bit more gnawed. So I think somebody's had a good old at this at some point. So yeah, but there we go. Dark Fire, C J Sansom. These little mass market paperbacks do show if they've been read, don't they? The B formats, the larger formats, tend to be a bit more hardy, but these ones can be a bit battered, even just one read, or even just a couple of days spent in your bag. They can really show it. And the last one I'm going to pick up, I saw this in charity bookshop. Oh, and it's an ex-library book, which you can tell because it's got that lovely plastic cover. Oh, look at that. And it's David Eddings' The Diamond Throne. Again, I don't think I've ever spoken about my love of the Malloreon and the Belgariad series by David Eddings. David Eddings was one of the first fantasy writers that I got into, who does the hero's process. Was it the hero's journey? That's right. He works on the hero's journey principle, and it's a 10-book series. There's the Belgariad, which is 5, and then the Malloreon, which is 5. And then there are a couple of standalones that go with it. So there's Belgrath the Sorcerer and Polgara the Sorceress. I started them over 20 years ago and read them. I gobbled them up because I love them so much. I've never read any other David Eddings, perhaps because I loved that series, which I have reread and reread so many times, because I've almost not wanted to taint myself with another one of his books. But I saw this for 50p. It's the first in the series. It's The Diamond Throne. It's a traditional fantasy book. So I thought I'd give that a go. They're not very challenging, but they're so absorbing. I love my David Eddings books. And I've not reread The Belgariad in ages, actually, so maybe I should read that too. So there we go. That's what I'm going to leave us there. BookTube. I have yet more books. Oh yes. You're saying yet no more books, but yes, I have more books, which I will show you in the next video. Hope you're all well, BookTube. This has been lovely. Let's do this again. Bye.